We're live with Reshift Media. I'm Jen McDonald. This is Steve Yours.
Hey everybody. So it's 3 o'clock Eastern. So we're just going to tell you a little bit about Reshift as we're waiting for people to actually join in. Probably taking a few minutes for people to get online. So welcome to our first ever Reshift Media Facebook Live. So today we're going to be talking about Facebook's newsfeed algorithm and how it impacts brands. But as I said, a little bit about Reshift Media first. So we're a digital marketing organization. We specialize in working with brands across a number of different industries, including franchise systems, retailers, food services, work with a lot of agencies as well. We work in 20 countries worldwide, and we do a raft of things. Of course, social media, which we're talking a lot about today. We do search engine optimization. We do website development. We do software development. Those of you on the phone who, or on Facebook Live, who use our social brand amplifier and brand amplifier softwares would know that. And so we're very excited today to be talking a bit about what we're seeing with Facebook's newsfeed and what those changes might mean for you. So hopefully there's a few people have managed to get online. So why don't we jump right in? So first off, what's going on? So last Thursday on January 11th, Facebook made a huge change to their algorithm, probably the most fundamental change that we've seen in some time.
Yep.
In short, what it means is that the update prioritizes interactions between friends and their family and actually groups, which we'll talk more about, and less about company-generated posts. So that's a big deal for those of you who run a business. That could be a small business, could be international business. It could also be charities. It could be anyone that has a page, including even famous people and
Celebrities.
Exactly, thank you. So the main thing that they're really talking about is the fact that what they want to emphasize now is more interactions, such as comments and shares, moreover things like posts and reactions. So that's a pretty big deal because it actually makes a pretty big change to the algorithm in terms of how your posts are getting shared and what those metrics are that drive the sharing. So we'll talk more about that as we go. But around the office, what we've been really saying is that interaction is the new engagement. So I'm sure you've all heard social media people say it's all about engagement. What we're saying around the office now is it's more about interactions.
Yeah, and I see a bunch of new people have joined us. Hi, welcome. Just want to let you guys know that you can ask questions. We have Alex here who is going to be taking care of your questions and reading them out to us. We also had some questions beforehand, so throughout this we will be answering your questions as well as giving our take on what we think this new algorithm change means. So one thing that we've heard a lot over the last week is that organic reach is dead. There's been a lot of really kind of doomsday articles about, Facebook is over and what does this mean for organic reach. We do think that this is a huge, huge change, right? So this is, like Steve said, probably one of the biggest algorithm changes that we've seen since we've been really working with Facebook for the past 5 years or so. But I don't think it means that organic reach is completely dead. We've known for a while that organic reach has been on the decline, but it will have a major impact. But I think that there are things that we're going to talk about, ways you can get around that as well. And so, as we said, it's going to have a major impact on publishers, charities, celebrities, everyone who uses a professional page as opposed to just a Facebook personal profile. So we're going to talk about what smart companies can do to kind of recognize exactly what this change means and some things that we think can kind of help boost that organic post. And let's just take a question right now. We have one. Has this newsfeed update happened yet? So we personally, I'm an admin on more pages than I can count, and just going through all of the insights and analytics, I haven't actually seen a substantial decrease in any kind of reach. And most of our pages haven't done, any completely different social strategies yet. So I personally haven't seen it yet. I'm not sure if it's been implemented. I know personally, just looking at Facebook, I don't think I'm seeing more of my friends and family than I was before. If anyone out there is watching, if you guys have seen a difference, please let us know. But right now, I don't think that I've seen it yet.
Yeah, what Facebook said in their announcement was that they expect this change in this philosophy to actually go across all their products over the next months. Now, what they did say, though, is that the news feed is where you're going to see the changes first. So when they do come, and we do expect them to come very quickly, it will be the news feed that gets hit first. So what does this mean for brands? That's what we're here to talk about. So as Jen was just mentioning, so for some time, the news feed has emphasized post-generated interactions. Now, previously though, is likes were in there, reactions were in there, of course, comments and shares, but it also used to surface content from people that weren't necessarily friends and family. So it could be pages, it could be news organizations and publishers. And what they would be doing is using things that you typically respond to, and they'd be looking across a broader network to try and surface some of those things to you that you might not otherwise see. Now that's still true. Facebook has gone to some pain to say that yes, you will see that type of content going forward, but they've been very, very clear that you're going to see less. They've been very clear that the emphasis is going to be on content within people's social networks as opposed to page type content. So it's more of a person-to-person interaction as opposed to business page to person interaction. So let's go into that in a minute. We got a few bullets here, and those of you who haven't downloaded our report online, please do so. We have a fairly lengthy report that goes in some detail, but to sort of distill it.
It's just so you know, it's reshiftmedia.com.
Oh, right, yes.
And it's a free download. You don't have to sign up or anything.
We don't even ask for your email address. I know, it's crazy. Okay, so what does this mean? So things like likes and reactions, those are going to be way less important going forward. So those of you who are putting up organic posts in a means to get likes and reactions, that won't be nearly as meaningful going forward. Comments and shares, that's the big deal now. So that's where you want to focus. That's this interaction that Facebook is talking about. Pre-recorded video, this was a big deal because video's really taken off on Facebook over the last 12 months. So when they said that pre-recorded video was going to be less emphasized, they emphasized that was because it gets less engagement and it gets less reactions than other types of video. And they actually call it specifically live video. So, such as this. They say live video actually is something that they will be emphasizing because it gets 6 times the engagement of a pre-recorded video.
Yeah, in the Facebook statement they actually called pre-recorded video passive video. So people tend to watch the video but not really share, not really comment as much as a live video. We still think recorded video is probably going to be, part of a content structure and strategy, but maybe not as prominent as it was before.
Exactly. And we actually got asked ahead of time, what about tagging of friends? And this is an interesting one. So we certainly have some clients where we see what people do is they'll tag their friends with a one-word, Jen McDonald.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's really popular on Facebook and Instagram. When you want your friend to see a post, they'll just tag them. So we consider that a share. You're sharing that post for your friend to see, but it's also a really short comment. It's usually just a name. So it'll be interesting to see. One of the things that Facebook had said was that comments that they like are really long comments. So will this be considered a share, or will this be considered a really short comment and therefore de-emphasized? We're still, we don't really know about that one. That's going to be something that we're really going to watch really closely.
Yeah.
I have a question here. If I respond to comments on posts as my business, will this help boost? So I guess how should the people react on the comments that people
You
post?
should always respond to your questions. Just that's the community manager coming out of me. You should always respond to all questions that you have. But one thing that's really important, and I think that this is something that's going to go forward, is community management is going to be really important in terms of not just responding, but keeping the conversation going. Having a debate, not really a debate, but a conversation, a one-on-one, getting other people to respond. So if you can generate that sense of communication in your comments, then you absolutely should as much as you can.
Right. So is organic reach for brands dead? According to Facebook, no. We've read everything that's been put out by Facebook itself. But they've also been very clear that if you're a brand right now where you're not getting a lot of comments, you're not getting a lot of shares, you can expect your reach to go down. Yeah. In fact, potentially zero. So if you're a brand where you don't get a lot of engagement, a lot of interaction, as we're saying around the office now, you really need to look at your strategy, which is what we're here to talk about today. Now, if you are getting a lot of comments and you are getting a lot of shares, then you probably will see less of a decrease. And with some of the strategies we're going to talk about today, hopefully we can even get that up a bit. The main point to take home is the one with the nice little stars on here, the person-to-person interaction. So brand to person, obviously as brands you'll still do that, but what we're trying to nurture and develop here is the person-to-person interaction in the comments on your post. That still counts.
Okay, we had a question also that came in earlier. How does this affect charity and nonprofit pages?
Yeah,
that's a really great question. From what we can tell, from what Facebook has said, is that a page is a page. So this algorithm is going to affect all pages, whether it's a business page, a brand page, a public figure page, or a nonprofit and charity page as well. So I think now more than ever, especially if you're a charity or a nonprofit, it's really, really important to be posting things that are meaningful and engaging and getting people to talk on your page, but it's also incredibly important to make sure that people are sharing info about you on their own page. Because like we said, friends and family are the posts that are really going to be seen. So, if you are a charity and you have a donation page, when someone donates, make it really, really easy for them to very easily share on Facebook, hey, I just donated to this great cause. Have a hashtag, maybe like auto-populated in that share field, more information about you. You want people to kind of brand advocate for you. This is super important to know. Alex has a question.
We have another question. So if tagging and sharing is on the up, what does that mean for contests? Facebook rules indicate that we cannot ask people to share and tag in order to participate in a contest.
Yeah.
Great question. So the question, in case you couldn't hear Alex on the line there, was what about contests? Should you be using contests to get shares and likes? You want to talk a bit about that, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways that we do contests, I think, most often is comment to win or comment to enter. You're right, there are some really strict rules with Facebook that you can't tag a friend for entry, and you can't like a page for entry, and you can't share on a personal profile for entry. So I think it's really going to continue to be a commenting to win is probably going to be one of the most popular Facebook contests, as it has been for a while, I think.
I would agree, and we've also done some implementations for clients where you actually create an environment for people to share their content maybe on the microsite with a share out from there. So we're going to talk a little more about that, about getting some of your customers and fans to actually create their own unique posts on your behalf. So you can actually create contests that aren't necessarily on Facebook, but have a sharing component into Facebook, which can certainly help in this regard.
Lucy Kelly asked us earlier, do you know if this will affect pages that are designated as a community page instead of a business page? As I said, I feel like everything that we've been told is that a page is a page. So whether it's a business page or a community page, the algorithm should affect them all.
Yeah, and I think William also wrote in earlier, he's asking about instant articles.
Yeah, instant articles is a really interesting one. So if you're from a publication or a news organization watching, you know that instant articles was something that Facebook pushed really hard, like last year.
Yeah, about a year ago, yeah.
About a year ago. Really, really something that they wanted publishers to try. From what we can tell, not super successful for a lot of publishers, couldn't really monetize them well, couldn't get a lot of engagement. So I'd say in the last, 6 months or so, a lot of publishers have actually pulled back because instant articles have been kind of de-emphasized from the newsfeed already. I know New York Times has stopped doing them altogether. Guardian has stopped doing them altogether. So I feel like for a while now, instant articles has been de-emphasized, and I don't feel like this algorithm is going to change that.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the next point. So we've been asked by a number of our clients, what's this mean for advertising? So right off the top, Facebook tells us that there's no direct impact. So Adam Mazzoli, who's the head of newsfeed at Facebook, he's made it very clear that there are different algorithms. So the algorithm for the newsfeed and the algorithm for advertising completely different. So this shouldn't impact it directly. However, if you actually read a little bit between the lines, we do expect there to be an impact in terms of cost. So Facebook's been very clear that through this change, they actually expect the time spent on Facebook to go down. And that's just because they're not giving you the sort of clickbaity stuff that kind of draws you in and you spend hours and hours on Facebook. They want them to be more quality engagements, but they also expect them to be shorter. So what that means is they're actually essentially shrinking the inventory of available space, putting it in advertising parlance. And on top of that, if a lot of brands now have trouble reaching people organically, odds are they're going to buy ads. So in an environment where more people are buying ads and less inventory, that leads to inflation. And we even saw over the holiday period, we saw an increase in cost of 30-35%?
Yeah, Facebook actually reached out to us, I'm sure a lot of advertisers, and actually warned us that it was one of the busiest seasons they've ever had, and that costs were going to get higher just because it was so competitive and there were so many ads running. So, we're thinking that something comparable may happen here. Yeah,
we're predicting around 35-45% worth of increase in cost. We don't know the time period on it, obviously. It depends how things roll out and depends on the impact. But we don't think that that's outside the realm of possibility. Now, having said that, we do expect Facebook to still be a relative bargain compared to some other mediums you can buy from. But do expect, if you're an advertiser on Facebook, it is going to cost more in the short term. Okay, so let's get to the start of the show, which is what brands can do. If you haven't downloaded our report already, please do so. It's got 10 ideas. We're going to walk through those very quickly today, take some questions hopefully. So if you have questions, please put them in there as we go. Alexandra's going to put them in. In fact, do we have one, Alex?
Before we continue, someone is asking if this means that boosted posts will go away.
No, we don't expect boosted posts to go away.
They might cost more money to boost.
They might cost more money,
so
yes.
that what you can get for $10 in terms of reach might actually cost a bit more. I would also say that with everything, I think that there needs to be kind of a pullback in terms of strategy. So organic strategy, paid strategy. When you're boosting posts, I think it's going to be really important to make sure you're targeting really exactly who you want to reach. I also think, and this is something we're going to experiment a lot with, it's going to be interesting to see if we should boost a post immediately or wait and see the posts that get lots of organic engagement and then boost after it's gotten a day or two of organic engagement if it's evergreen and you can wait that long, because one of the things that helps with the boosted post auction is if there is a lot of comments and a lot of shares on that post. So I definitely think that we're going to go into a month of experimentation on boosts, but absolutely boosts are not going to go away. If anything else, I think people are going to be boosting posts more just so they can get visibility with this new algorithm change.
Well, it might even be the opposite. So again, as Jen says, we need to do some experimentation ourselves, but maybe the opposite, where we use a boost to actually get a bit of reach first, to try and break through the fact that your organic reach might not be where you need. You get a boost if it's a quality piece of content, which we're going to talk a lot about today. That might help you get a bit of traction, and then you can actually get a bit of forward momentum off of that. So actually, it's a nice segue to number one, which is, you just mentioned a second ago, integrating your paid and organic strategies, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that, when we're talking about this is don't panic. Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Yes, I mean, we're all panicking a little bit, but don't panic too much. This is a really big change, and I do think that, you just have to kind of stop and relook at all of your strategies, organic or paid. If you're a community manager or a page admin, you've probably been integrating paid into your strategy for quite a while. I mean, a couple years ago, organic reach was 16%, and then this last year it's 2 or 3%. Yep. So it's really, really difficult to have organic reach, unless you're a news publication, which is kind of a whole other ballfish right now. It's if you've been a business page owner, you've probably been boosting posts or doing some kind of ad strategy. So it's really, really important to continue to do that, and possibly do that even more, but really integrate what you're doing with your ads versus what you're doing with your organic content strategy as well. So paid posts and organic posts are posts. They're both the same thing. It's just the paid posts, the boosted posts are the ones that you're so happy with that you really want to pay to distribute. So yeah, we can use that initial paid distribution to gain more interactions, and then hopefully that will increase your organic reach as well.
Yeah, the way we look at it is it all should be good content. So just because you're creating an ad, that doesn't mean that it should be terrible. So create something of quality, and in some cases you just happen to pay to distribute it. So what we often talk about is don't have your organic content calendar and your paid completely separate, separate teams working on it. Integrate those. Have one strategy, and just in some cases you pay, in some cases you don't. So that gets us to number 2 on our list, which is reaching the right people with the right post at the right time. So if we rewind a little bit, if we can all think back to the days where most of advertising was on TV, radio, etc., that was a one-to-many sort of conversation. It was a mass media where you had one message and the whole objective was get it out to as many people as you could, and hopefully it sticks with some. When social media was first used by brands, it was actually interesting because suddenly you could now have a one-to-few or even a one-to-one sort of communication. It was completely transformational in terms of how brands thought about their business and interacted with their customers. But what we've been seeing, and I think you would see this yourselves, is over time, people got a little bit lazy. So instead of having tailored, unique posts, suddenly posts become a little more generic. Clickbait suddenly becomes a big thing to just try and generate likes. And suddenly brands start thinking of how do I get one post and how do I mass distribute it? So suddenly we're back to that one-to-many approach. And really, that does not inspire interaction. So if it's a post that's generically made for everybody, what are the odds that it strikes that right chord with that individual person, so that way they interact with it, they comment, they share? So one of the big things we're advocating with this big algorithm change is getting back to social media basics, thinking about how you can have that one-to-few sort of conversation.
Yeah, and when we say reach the right people with the right post, The way that you're going to know that is by really digging into your insights. So if you're a page admin, at the top of your page you have insights, an insights button, tons of information about who you've reached, geography, where they're from, what the age group is. You can see your fans, what their age groups is and their gender. You can also see people you've reached, what their age group is and gender, and sometimes they'll be completely different. You can see interests that they have, languages, and not just page insights. Also, if you're boosting posts, you can go into your ads manager and see how your ads performed by doing the breakdown. So you really have to be really familiar and comfortable with Facebook Insights and Facebook's ad manager, but you can see where people came from, what cities they came from. You can see what devices they're consuming your ads from. So really, really dig into that information. Become an expert in insights. Become an expert in your ad manager, and take a look at all that data and use it to craft your future posts.
Yeah, and there's a few things on this. So in addition to what Jen was just saying, by the way, if you have a local page, your local page will actually tell you the demographic breakdown of people who are near your store at a particular time of day. So I can see how often men 18 to 24 are right outside my door. So you can actually get really granular.
You just go into your insights, and there's on the left-hand side, there's a button called Local. Click it, it's life-changing.
When you do this, I bet you that helps them. Yeah, I know exactly where it is now.
Thanks.
The big thing is to make sure that the content you create is relevant to your audience. So what we mean by that is take all that great data Jen just mentioned and break it into segments. So think about, here's, I have a huge audience. Here's my, whatever it is, sports enthusiast audience, or here's my Ottawa audience, or here's my French-speaking audience, whatever it is. Break your audience into specific segments that you can then create posts just for them. And again, challenge yourself. So is the copy written in a way that sports enthusiast finds interesting? It doesn't matter if maybe your baker finds it interesting, because you're not sending the post to them. Instead, you think specifically about that audience. Is the language right? Is the tone right? Is it going to resonate with them? Is the photo right? Don't just use the same photo across all your segments. Think about a photo that works for that person. And of course, we want to encourage that interaction. So, is the question that you're asking relevant? Or is the information you're sharing pertinent and interesting to that person? Are they likely to want to comment and share it with a friend? So really think about your audience not as some big homogeneous group, but break it down as granularly as you can and create posts for each of those groups. And again, if you want to post every day, coming back to the frequency argument, then what you can do is now that you can maybe post every day, but to different groups. I think we'll talk a little more about that as we go.
Yeah, and when we're creating content calendars, the number one thing that we think is, why would someone want to follow this page? What do they want? And it used to be kind of more of a general question. Now it's why does this segment want to follow this page? If you're a clothing store, maybe you want to do posts on a young women's clothing line that you have, that you're going to specifically look at that segment. What does that segment want from you versus what do the sporting life guys who are older want from you? And then you're going to
justify it. Older, you went this way. I don't understand that.
Didn't mean to do that. Completely didn't mean it. But yeah, you think about what does this person want in a post, and what are they going to react to, and what are they going to share with and engage, and what does this person want in a post, and then craft your posts to each one. And you can do that organically as well, where you are talking about boosting a lot and targeting to boost, but you can target by interest, by gender, by ages organically. So something to consider.
Now I think we received a question from Shaylin ahead of time.
Yeah.
It was how will posts be recognized by Facebook if they're shared from a corporate page to local pages using the Facebook location structure? We've also heard the same question from some of our social brand amplifier clients. Those of you who don't use it, the social brand amplifier allows national pages to share to their local pages. So I think it's a really good question, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. So the short answer is we're not sure right now with the algorithm change, but we can tell that on face value, sharing content to your local pages should benefit. One thing that we have known, there was a recent study that said local pages have an average of 25% more engagement than national brand
25 times.
25 times, yeah, you're right. 25 times.
You understated it.
Yeah, sorry. And that makes sense, because if let's say I'm a fan of a chain restaurant, am I going to want to like the corporate national Facebook page? Probably not as much as I'm going to want to like and follow the one that's around my corner. I want to see, the daily specials for that actual restaurant. I want to see photos of the staff that I know and they know me. I also want to see reviews. I think I think local pages are really going to be important, especially everything else that Facebook is doing outside of this. They just created that local app that's only available in the US. Local pages are incredibly important, and reviews are getting increasingly important, especially because Facebook reviews now display in Google. So you really want to build up your local pages. That's where the engagement is. And really want to make sure that all those local pages have, the correct hours, the correct address, the correct phone number, and just kind of build them out and make them as unique from the rest of the brands or the stores in your chain as you possibly can.
Yeah, you said something really quick there. The Facebook local app. If you're in Canada, you might not have seen this yet. It's released in the US. Those of you who are seeing us from the US, if you haven't already, download it. And Canadians, most of you will probably have a US iTunes account anyway. So you should
say that.
You should look for the Facebook local app if you haven't already. It's fascinating how Facebook is exposing local information in a very different way, in a different interface. So it may be a precursor to what they're doing with their reviews and their local content. So do check that out as an aside. Now coming back to what we're talking about here, so if you're sharing content from a national page to a local one, the thing we really want to hit hard here is it comes down to making sure that content's relevant. So don't do the mass approach we just talked about. So don't have one piece of content and basically just blast it out to all your local pages. People can smell corporate content. So if I'm in a local city and I can tell that it's not written for me, it's someone in head office somewhere, it's not going to resonate, I'm not going to interact, it's not going to do what you want. So you have to, again, do that segmentation we talked about. Break people into logical groups, then send it out to your local pages, but in those groups. And what you should really be thinking about too is how can you automate some localization? So that could be including the local store name, including the local franchisee's name if it's a franchise, including the local neighborhood or the park across the street or whatever it is. Something that lets that person who receives it know that it's meant for them because it talks about things that they know and are relevant to them. That's going to be hard to do without a piece of software. So those of you who use the social amplifier, great, you can do that already. Otherwise, look for some way to automate it that allows you to be able to get that one-to-many, but in a very localized, customized approach. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yep.
Okay, number 3.
So produce content that generates interactions, which is so easy, right? That's
Done.
The easiest thing to do. Just produce better content, guys.
Right? Just do that.
No, not so easy. Not easy at all. But it's something that you have to really think about. Like, what content are you producing right now, and how much interactions are you getting? And by interactions, we said it earlier, it's not really just likes and reactions anymore. It's really comments and shares. That is what the new algorithm is really focusing on. So if you're producing, a lot of people do memes, a lot of like cute, humorous things that get a lot of likes, but is it connected to your brand? If you're a restaurant and you're posting cute little funny jokes every day, great. People probably love your social media page and people are probably laughing and hitting like. Are they actually going to your restaurant to eat there?
And are they commenting? Are they sharing that with their friends? Is it getting them to actually do anything?
Yeah. So one of the things that we think is like the days of creating just funny memes and to go viral, which we hate, but that's what people say, are behind us with this new algorithm change. I think that there's going to be a bit of experimentation over the next month or two about how to engage people without doing what Facebook calls engagement baiting. So engagement baiting is something that they talked a lot about in the statement. So Facebook's algorithm is set up so that it is going to, de-emphasize any content that they think is like vote baiting or react to this or, share this to or tag this person or comment below if. So I think that, we still want to create posts that ask for people's opinions.
Absolutely.
We don't want to create every single post because you're like, oh, Facebook likes comments now, so every single post needs to have 5 million comments, so every post is going to start with comment below for... Yeah. So you really want to make sure that, again, just what we said, that the content is stuff that people are actually going to want to engage with, to consume, and to comment on.
And just to touch on that. So we received a question ahead of time about what is engagement baiting. So it's basically anything that's a low value interaction. So it's enter yes or no below. Do you like puppies? Yes or no. Stuff like that where you're clearly trying to game the algorithm for reach. That's the stuff. Facebook's actually gone to a lot of trouble. They built machine learning algorithms to be able to find that stuff, and they're trying to get rid of it. Anything that we all know that we would call clickbait, that's essentially engagement bait. That's what Facebook's trying to take out. So be careful in trying to generate interactions that you don't fall into that. And I think some additional comments with that question is, can we still do polls? Can we still ask people to comment?
Yeah, I would say yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that you're just going to maybe experiment how much you do that, maybe use it a bit more sparingly when it comes to polls, and really you're going to make sure that it's relevant to what you're talking about, relevant to your brand. So when you're asking people to comment, just make sure that the question is meaningful and it's spurs conversation about what exactly it is you do. We have one of our clients is an auto dealer, and whenever they sell a new car, they take a photo with the customer, and it's like, welcome to the family. This guy just bought an auto. Congratulations, or Audi. Congratulations, Audi owners. Like, tell us what you think about welcome to the family. Tell us what you think about your car and the experiences that you've had. And it generates some really quality conversation because people actually want to talk about their car and they want to congratulate the guy in the new car and welcome to the family. So it's really about, you can still do polls, you can still say, hey, talk about us or talk about this topic in our comments, but you just don't want to be spammy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Which comes perfectly into number 4, focus on quality over quantity. So I touched on it quickly before, but a lot of brands we work with, when we first start working with them, they're posting daily on Facebook. That's okay for Twitter and for other platforms, but for Facebook, that's probably a little much. In fact, some even post more than once a day. And a lot of times they're doing this because they think that's a way to get more reach. So what's happening is every post gets just a little bit of reach. But if you post every day and you look at the total number at the end of the month, you say, great, look at all the reach we got, and we did really well. But the problem is each of those posts individually doesn't get enough reach. And the problem is you're probably annoying people. It's too much. And with Facebook's algorithm, if each of those posts isn't getting interactions because it's of low quality, then you're actually harming yourself. You're not hurting. Or sorry, you're not helping. So quality is really the name of the game. So do the segmentation we talked about, tailor it to your audience, and unless you're receiving incredible amounts of engagement on every post, don't do it every day. 3 to 4 times a week, that's tons. Do 3 great ones, don't do 7 okay ones, and try and get that interaction we're talking about.
And that's for a business or a brand page. If you're a publication, you could be posting a story every hour, and that might actually work for you if you're getting a lot of comments and a lot of engagement within those stories. It's just really, like we've said before, you really have to start looking at your analytics and your insights and making sure that everything that you're posting is getting the kind of quality engagement that you want.
Absolutely.
Okay, the 5th one is something that they actually specifically said in the statement: create a Facebook group.
Groups are back.
Who knew? Who knew? So groups weren't really a thing for quite a while. And
well, at least not from a brand perspective, right?
For sure. And Mark Zuckerberg, in his statement, actually called out groups as benefiting with this new algorithm change. So the one thing about groups, I'm a fan. I'm in a couple of groups on Facebook, and it's really things that you're really passionate about. Like if you're a super fan of something, so a TV show or an author, and there's a lot of interaction in those groups. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of comments because people really, really want to talk about this one thing. So it's really an interesting opportunity for brands, and I know that Facebook recently integrated groups into Facebook pages. And some people are doing some pretty interesting things. Washington Post, if you wanted to go check out some really good group use, check out the Washington Post Facebook page. They've actually created some groups based around topics, and you can actually talk to the editors at the Post. You can talk amongst each other about news topics. It's really, really interesting. I will say that groups, I think, is really an opportunity for people who have quite a big fan base, because it's really a small segment of your fans are super fans. Like the people who are so interested in this topic that they're going to want to talk about it with each other and with the brand. So if you do have that kind of clientele that are really brand advocates and really want to talk about it, you can really kind of cultivate that super fan group, kind of use it as focus grouping a little, having more personal interactions with those people. And I think that that's something that we're going to see a lot more of in the news feed. Of if you follow a group, you're going to see a lot more of that content in your feed.
Good idea probably for the charities we talked about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're a charity and you have people who are passionate about your cause, think about a group. That might be a good opportunity for you. Okay, number 6, up at the top there, Facebook Live, like this.
Hey, we did it. We're done.
Job well done, Risha.
Yeah, we're just going to quit now.
So again, it was interesting that Facebook called out pre-recorded video as something that's passive. But called out live streaming as something, as I said earlier, receives 6 times the engagement of regular video. So it allows us to sort of break through that algorithm. So you probably saw today, for those of you who pre-registered, you got a little alert saying that the Facebook Live was starting. And
fans of our page.
if fans of the page, you get that too. So even if you didn't pre-register, if you're a fan of the Facebook Reshift Media's Facebook page, which we hope you'll all go do, by the way, please become a fan of the page. What you get is a little alert comes right up on your phone or on your screen. There's not very many things on Facebook that do that. So there's a real way to break through the algorithm by getting Facebook Live alert right on a person's screen. And it's not that well used. So Social Media Examiner did a study late in 2017, and they found only about 28% of marketers were using Facebook Live. So it's an opportunity because not that many people are doing it yet, and because it has that great notification capability, and because we know that Facebook favors live video. Read the report for lots of ideas. We don't have time to go through them today, but a few of them would be like hosting a Q&A like this, giving a behind-the-scenes view, doing interviews. Maybe if you're at a conference, do a live at the conference. Lots of things. If you have a new product launch, maybe you do that. So all kinds of great ideas to go live. Do pre-promote it. Do be ready to push it live when you've got a bit of an audience built up.
Okay, number 7. This one's kind of a weird one. I'm owning it. This one's mine. It's watch out for Facebook Stories. Now we know, guys, Facebook Stories is a wasteland. No one's using Facebook Stories yet. We get it. But plus side, no one's using Facebook Stories yet, guys. Like, this is an opportunity. It has such huge placement on your desktop. It's right at the top. You see the stories on your app when you first open the app. Stories is just like on Instagram. It's right at the top. And it is rolling out into all pages. I think that right now it's only on pages that are designated as local businesses. But last night I was at work and looking at Facebook because it's my job.
Working late.
Obviously it was my job, not because I was just on Facebook. And there was a brand that I follow, a local business that popped up as doing a story, and I clicked on it because I'd never actually seen a business story up there before. And what they had done is they had done an Instagram story and pushed it to their Facebook page, and it showed up. So it's really, really good organic placement. When someone goes to their Facebook, whether it's on their phone or on their desktop, it's right at the top. And like I said, no one's really using stories yet. So as soon as it's available on your page, jump on that. You can either, push your Instagram stories to Facebook, or what I would probably do is try to craft Facebook-specific stories. But it's an opportunity that no one's really using yet, and it's great organic reach so far.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well on Instagram as well. So,
oh yeah, Instagram stories are great. Instagram and Facebook is a little bit different. So Facebook, it's been really slow adoption, but you can use that to your advantage.
We're getting gestured to move this way a little bit. Apparently we can't see the numbers. Okay, so number 8, and this one's probably our favorite of everything in the report. So if you don't read anything else, read number 8. To motivate people to share on your behalf. Basically, the idea here is to have your customers create content on your behalf about your brand. We've been doing this for some time as Reshift Media with our clients because, as Jen said, the algorithm's been declining organic reach for some time. So we've always seen an opportunity to motivate your super fans or your customers to use the reach of their personal pages to distribute great positive information about your brand. Because personal pages have long done better than business pages, so it's a natural thing. So the idea here is the new algorithm in particular is going to favor person to person. So what that means is if you as a brand share a post and someone reacts through a comment or a share, that's great. But if they, as an individual, shared their own post, created their own unique piece of content that then got interaction, that's even better. So this one's tricky though, because you're trying to motivate people to do things kind of on their own. So a big piece of that is developing really high quality content and really thinking about a customer engagement strategy. And not just on your Facebook page, but this is an online, offline thing. So starting with the online, a strong blog is probably your best friend. So create a great blog on your website and decide what you want to do with it. You can be an information leader in your industry, as a thought leader. You can do how-tos. There's a whole bunch of different angles you can take, but create content that's relevant to your audience, things that they're actually going to care enough about that when they read it on your blog, they share it off to Facebook and of course Twitter and Instagram, etc. But for our purposes today, Facebook's the main idea. Make sure that you promote that content, so make sure it's search optimized so people can find it via Google. Maybe put a bit of money behind it to be able to promote it on platforms. Get people in, get them to consume it, and then get them to share it out. So it's almost like you're using paid media and organic search optimization to prime the pump a little bit, where you get people in the top, they consume the content, it's so nice and compelling, and you got your search tools really easy to use that they share it out. And now what you're getting is you're getting that second bump through organic reach. And hopefully when they share it out, now they're getting more interactions. It gets even further. Now when we start shifting, we talk a bit about offline, you can really take advantage of your store. So what you want now is you want people coming into your location to, particularly if you have multiple locations, if you're a franchise or retailer, try and surprise and delight them. So if they come in and they're a good customer, they've come in a bunch of times, and they're sitting there in the restaurant, maybe the head chef comes out to say hi. Or maybe it's someone that comes to a pizza place every day and you give them a free Coke once in a while. Just something unexpected. And what will naturally happen when you do that is they're going to say, wow, that's great. And maybe they take a little picture, maybe they give you a positive review on Facebook, maybe they do a little comment, whatever it is. But it's that sort of serendipity and that surprising and delighting of people. And the thing is, this comes down to on-the-ground training. You know, training your staff, having them think about those little micro interactions with people. And make your store more social. So maybe it's having a screen in your store where you're showing the latest posts. You know, everyone likes a bit of fame, so if someone posts a positive thing on Facebook about you, show it on the TV in the store, they can see it and they're like, oh, that's awesome. And frankly, if they see other people being posted, they might be apt to post their own. Maybe it's putting the best photos of the week. Maybe print a poster and put it on the wall. It's just little cues to show people that you care about social media, you're watching it, you're a social company, and social is part of your DNA. Think about ways where you can connect social and offline and social. Because then what you're doing is when someone comes in, you're giving them that subtle cue that if they have a good experience, maybe they should create a post. And if they create that post, you're going to care about it. That's kind of what we're trying to get to with this sort of online, offline. Again, lots of ideas in the report. I just want to touch on them real quick here.
Yeah, I'd also say not just your customers sharing things, you could also extend that to an influencer program as well. So it really is about people on Facebook rather than pages on Facebook now. So think of different ways that you can get people, real people, to be talking about your brand. I mean, we used to call this back in the day user-generated content. I think that this is above and beyond that, but just being really smart and having strategies to get people talking about you instead of you just talking about yourself.
Well, influencers is an interesting one too. So the person is interesting. We've actually received a few questions about what's this mean for influencers. There's actually a couple of different types of influencers. There's the type that actually have a brand page, so they have a professional page because they have so many followers that they didn't want a one-to-one connection. So if it's a personal Facebook page, obviously Jen and I both have to agree to be friends on Facebook. Whereas some of the larger influencers actually have a page, so that way they can just follow. Those influencers that are doing it from a page actually will be just as impacted as everybody else. But influencers who are more of a one-to-one, that could actually be an interesting opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, number 9. Make your content a must-have for followers. Again, so easy, guys. Just
Done.
Just do it. Yeah. But again, you really have to think about what you're doing right now. Go back for the past couple months. Like one thing that we're doing this week, and we probably will be for the next couple weeks, is just really diving into our content and seeing what works, what doesn't, and what people want, and what is that see first functionality that your page has. And there is ways, by the way, to make sure that your fans see your products first or your page first. And there's a couple different ways to do it. They're both on your fans' onus. It's not something you can do for them. But if you're on your Facebook page, if you go to the left-hand side, you can see pages that you follow. So you can click on there and see all the pages that you follow. If you go to a brand page that you follow, there'll be a like button and a follow button. If you hit the follow drop down, it probably says default, and that just means Facebook's algorithm is going to figure out when you should see these posts. Maybe never now, who knows? Or very, very rarely. But what you can do is you can hit the drop down and say follow, see first. See first. So follow and then see first. And that means that it kind of goes around the Facebook algorithm. So anytime that brand or that celebrity or whoever it is posts, you're going to see that at the top of your newsfeed the next time that you log into Facebook. So that is something that you kind of have to teach your fans how to do. But if you have super fans out there, you really want to remind them, hey, here's how you can see my content first, just so we don't get lost in the shuffle. And then again, making your content must-have. So make it informational or tactical, or it does something. It informs people of something. Yeah, like again, it's always when you're a community manager, you think about this all the time. Why are people following my page? Yeah. What do they like? What is it that they're here for? If I was following this brand, what would I want to see? And entertainment, like people, it entertains people or informs people. So just try to really refine your content strategy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, number 10. Now, I see Alex is writing down a bunch of questions there, so it looks like we have a few questions to still answer, which is great. Last one before we get to that, measure and manage the right things. By the way, if you haven't asked questions and you have them, do it now. That way we can make sure we get to them. Okay, so measuring and managing the right things. Right off the top, you have to resist the vanity metrics. So page likes, really not that important anymore. So don't get fixated on that. Don't buy a bunch of likes for your page. It's not going to get you anywhere. So don't worry about that. Frankly, even post likes, don't worry about that anymore.
Reactions are suddenly not really a big deal anymore.
Yeah. So although it might feel good to know that you grew your likes by X amount, doesn't matter nearly as much as it used to. Focus on the metrics that drive interactions, that be comments and shares. And something that a lot of brands don't do is look at what your fans are doing, look what your customers are doing. So don't just look at your metrics on your page, but take a look to see how many people are mentioning your brand, take a look to see how many people are sharing your content. If you're putting these strategies we're talking about in place, you should see those going up. So measure those. So see if people are actually taking action on their own. See if that's getting some distribution. See if that's getting clicks back to your website. See if that's people showing up to your store, because that's what's going to drive more value for you. Okay, so that's kind of our top 10. Again, download the report. It's got a lot more detail. Alex, what questions do we have?
Yes, someone is asking if you think that ad space will become available in the stories and when.
Oh, ad space
Great
in
question.
stories. Yeah.
I'm
I
not
haven't
sure.
heard anything. Have you heard?
No, I mean, I think that Facebook, the adoption for stories is so slow right now. I don't think that they're going to try to scare people off by putting ads in it yet.
Yeah.
But it's Facebook, so if they can monetize it, they will. So eventually, I can see that happening. Right now, though, because Facebook gives such prominent spots to stories, I don't even think that you really need to advertise on it. Just do stories. It's right up there. So I think that's a really good organic reach.
Someone else is asking if link clicks, do they count as reactions or not?
Great question. So that hasn't been said emphatically, and for publishers that's a big deal, because you may get a great article that gets shared out and people click it to read it, and in our opinion, if you click it to read a great article, that shows engagement in our opinion. Facebook hasn't been clear about clicking through. Now the indication seems to be that is not going to be considered an interaction, because what they're looking for, if you read between the lines, is sort of a back and forth with people. They've said this multiple times with Adam Mazzoli, and Mark Zuckerberg have said this in multiple venues. So they're hitting it pretty hard. So the thing about a link click is there isn't any back and forth. So our guess is that's probably not going to count as interaction. We'll wait and see, of course. We're going to measure that very carefully, but unless you have a different opinion,
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think that link clicks are going to be as valuable.
No.
Yeah.
Someone else is asking if when you leave a reward for people to leave a review on your page, does that count as baiting?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Facebook actually has a policy on it. I know Yelp has a very strict policy that you can't even ask for reviews, let alone reward people. But I just don't think that that's in the spirit of reviews. Facebook and Google both, I know, discourage actually incentivizing reviews. I certainly wouldn't do it. But if you have a loyal customer base, people who come back to your restaurant or to your store or whatever it is that your business is, use those super fans and ask them for a review. I think that's okay.
Yeah, ask them for a review, absolutely. If someone's had a great experience, a little, hey, would you mind? In fact, a lot of our clients even send an email after the fact, hey, would you mind giving us a Google and Facebook review? That's A-okay, but incentivizing, probably not a good move.
A reward seems too much like paying for a favorable review, so I wouldn't risk it.
Well, and God forbid they actually tell people that you're doing this. So yeah, we wouldn't recommend that at all.
So you have talked a lot about the local pages and sharing local content. Someone asked if you have a chain that's all in the same city with locations all in the same city, should you create local pages for that client?
You should always create local pages for every local page. Every business that you have that has a unique street address, you should absolutely create local pages. This is less to do with the algorithm, although it actually fits in. It plays into it for sure. But the last year and a half, a lot of things that Facebook has done has been really focused on local. So the local app that we talked about earlier, only available in the US so far, but I'm sure it's coming soon. Even just geo-searching. People are using Facebook now as Google in a way. So Facebook search is becoming much more powerful and much more popular. So people will search coffee shops near me. And if you look at major brands like Starbucks has a local page for each page, McDonald's, they want to surface not the national page, they want to surface the closest to you. So we're in downtown Toronto. There are 900 Starbucks within the 3 blocks, but that's what I'm going to see. I'm going to see the ones that are closest to me. So even if you have a lot of restaurants or a lot of stores in one city, it's really important for you to set up local pages. And there is a framework in Facebook called Facebook Locations that we talked about earlier. We've set it up for a lot of clients. It really kind of nets all of your Facebook pages together, provides a really nice location store finder map, and it's a really, really easy way to kind of like make that happen on Facebook.
Yep.
Going further on locations, if I have a brand sold in several countries, should I create a page in each language?
Good question. So this is where we go with the global pages,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
So there's actually 2 tiers of pages within Facebook. There's the locations framework, which is more intended for in-country local, and then there's global pages where you could have a different page for, say, the US and for France and for Australia if you felt like it. And then you could actually have a locations framework in each of those countries if you were so inclined. So the quick answer is yes. If you're multi-country, having a country-based Facebook network is great. Plus, then each of those pages can be in a native language, not just the post, but also all the about copy and all the labelings in the local language. So that's a good way to do that. And you can still do the locations framework in that country as well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Starbucks, I'm just using Starbucks as an example, if they're set up for global pages, but if they were, if I'm in Canada.
Dove's a great example.
Yeah, Dove.
Check out Dove. Dove does a wonderful example of global pages.
Yeah, and if I'm in Canada and I search for Dove, it's automatically going to surface the Dove Canada page. It just looks like Dove. It doesn't look like Dove Canada, but it is the Dove Canada page. If I'm in the US, I'll get the Dove US page. So yeah, it's called Global Framework, and it's something that Facebook has to work with you to set up, or you work with an agency, but really, really useful if you have lots of pages in different countries.
Yep.
Last question so far. Could you elaborate a little bit on how to use influencers effectively to create more engagement?
Sure. So I'll start and you add in. Yeah. So we'll see exactly what Facebook does with influencers. So if you take what they're saying at face value, they're looking for that person-to-person interaction, and they're looking for comments and shares. So if you have influencers that have their, again, we're talking specifically about Facebook here, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, totally different animals. But specifically on Facebook, if the influencer is a person-to-person page, in theory, their reach should be more. And again, they need to be inspiring those interactions. It can't just be them blasting out content to their fans, because they could very well have the same problem. If they're sending out content that doesn't get comments and shares, then they're not going to get any better reach than you. So the way to mobilize influencers is there's certainly agencies that get you in touch with influencers. There's various networks online that do that. If you know your own influencers, go ahead.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Facebook deals with influencers. I still feel like Instagram is really where the influencer
YouTube
play is.
too. You're big on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, I mean, talking about Instagram and YouTube and Twitter, I think something that we haven't mentioned before, but it's really clear if you're following this, is not to put all the eggs in the Facebook basket, right? I mean, it's really important to diversify all of your social efforts. We both come from a publishing background, and I'm sure newspapers and publishers are really concerned about this algorithm change, because if it does indeed mean that link clicks off to a website or off to a newspaper are not considered as valuable as a comment, what does that mean for them? So you really want to make sure that you're looking at your entire social strategy, not just your Facebook strategy. And if you're not going to get as much organic reach on Facebook as you used to a couple months ago, then what are you doing on your other platforms? Because Instagram is still a really, really powerful tool that you can use. You can also, another thing that I'd say, if you're boosting posts, Facebook now allows you to include Instagram boosts. I wouldn't recommend that. I would do an Instagram boost on Instagram and a Facebook boost on Facebook. It's 2 different content plays. The photo size is different, the tone is different. You want to make sure that you're still crafting your Facebook content completely different from your Twitter content, different from your Snapchat content, different from your Instagram content.
Yeah, to go on top of that, basically anytime you see this opportunity to take your Facebook content on Instagram or your Twitter feed into Facebook, don't do that. A lot of people have done that where their Twitter feed plugs directly into Facebook. There's various apps that allow this. Don't do that, because you're not tailoring your content. think about the segmentation, think about content that makes sense to your customers.
You put hashtags, which you use in a completely different way on Instagram than you use on Facebook, if you use hashtags at all on Facebook. So yeah, really, really important to consider all the social content that you have, and also make sure, again, that you're not putting everything on Facebook.
Any questions before? Oh, one more.
One last question.
Right.
What are your best recommendations on ways to get longer comments and shares?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question.
It is a really loaded question. I think that we covered some of it. I think community management, again, is something that's going to be really important. Community management seems to have kind of fallen off a little bit in terms of people whose full-time job is to do that sort of thing. But really, it is about when you have people commenting on your post to guide that conversation, to answer questions, and then to ask more questions, and to make sure that there's more people talking and really having a guided conversation. I think that's really important. Getting more shares, that's a great question. Really, really difficult to determine what's going to work and what's not. Again, and I know this is kind of a cop-up, but try to think of the most shareable content that you can have. I know, just make shareable content. But again, it goes back to when you're creating content, think about what do you want to see. You're a person who's on Facebook, apparently. What would you like to see? What would your customers like to see? In the past, what have your customers shared more than anything else? Look at your analytics, look at your historical insights, and see, okay, in the past, these type of posts have gotten more shares than these ones. I'm going to start focusing on these type of posts. If you have a lot of data in your insights, use it.
Well, and to add on that, so don't ask yes/no questions, because you'll get a yes/no response, and short's not good. Ask questions that inspire some conversation. We had a great example actually in a report where you share a blog post which actually is all about a really important topic, and then you ask a question about that topic. And as Jen says, don't just put the post and leave it and see what happens. You have to be active on it now. Someone makes a comment, you got to reply to that comment, thanking them, asking them a follow-up question. And the more they interact, the better it's going to be for you. Any more questions before we break out? Okay, that's it for today. So thank you so much for making the time today. Really appreciate you all taking time out of your busy day. Please download the report. Again, it's on reshiftmedia.com. And please like the Facebook page. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, etc. And if you have any questions that we didn't answer today, you can message us on Facebook, you can email us, you can call us.
Comment on the post that's going to be on this the video afterwards.
Great point. Comment on this post. Comments and shares are welcome.
Sly, that was so sly.
Yeah,
well done.
All right, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.